the NEMO headquarters, where we are continuing to provide updates on Tropical Storm Bret. I think for the most part, we can say thank God for sparing us the worst. Many queries have been coming in already, many questions, whether the all clear has been given, whether there is school today, etc., etc. And a little later, we will be speaking with the Director of the Met Services, who will be providing information on that. But just before that, we have on the line the Minister for Education, Honorable Sean Edward. Good morning, Minister.
Good morning. I
And
can't
how are
hear
you
you
doing?
clearly. Can you hear me?
And how are you doing?
Hello?
Yes, Minister, can you hear me?
I don't know if you are hearing me, but I'm having serious difficulty hearing you.
Okay. We know that the all clear has not been given, and the students, especially the Cape students, they are concerned. They're asking what is, as far as exams are concerned, is that still on? Can you provide some clarification on that, please? We just lost the minister here, but we will be making contact with him momentarily. And of course, the minister will provide an update, particularly to the Cape students who should be writing exams today, as to whether those exams are still on. The minister will also be providing some information on the Denry North. And so we ask you to stay tuned as we make connection with the minister. We have him on now. Good morning again, Minister.
Good morning.
Okay. Could you give us an update on the Cape exam, where the students, we know the all clear has not been given, and so students are waiting to hear what is happening.
I can't hear you too clearly, but I think you're asking about the Cape exam.
Yes.
We've taken a decision at the ministry level to call off Cape exams for today. Because the all clear has not been given by the Met Office and NEMO, and so we believe it is not safe to ask our students to venture out to the various examination centers to write the Cape exam today. All we're in a position to say today as the Ministry of Education is that the Cape exams for today have been called off, and the ministry will be in a better position later today over the weekend to issue a statement on the way forward. I must let you know that this has been a concern not just for education administrators, but some other countries in the Eastern Caribbean. From very early this morning, in the wee hours, I was on the phone with my ministerial counterpart from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Curtis King, and we were basically trying to take a common position on the way forward as it relates to the administration of Cape exams today. So, in light of the fact that the all clear has not been issued by the powers that be, the Ministry of Education has taken the decision to suspend the administration of Cape exams today.
Okay, and I take it that generally schools are going to be out. I know that most of the schools serve as emergency shelters, and perhaps we could just provide some clarification on that as well.
You will have to repeat. The connection is extremely bad. You are very distant. I cannot follow the question. Can you repeat, please?
Okay, so I'm saying that's that for Cape. As far as school is concerned, I know that many of the schools are being used as emergency shelters. And so
sorry, I cannot follow. I can't pick up any of what you're saying.
Okay. We'll have to try. Let me try a third time, just to provide an update
you are very
I'm
distant.
muffled. Oh.
And it's very difficult to pick up what you're saying.
Okay. The minister have difficulty hearing me from my end. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me now, Minister? Okay, so we're still trying to rectify the situation here. But just before we got cut off, I was asking the minister about the situation as far as school is concerned. We know that most of the schools are being used as emergency shelters, and some of them are occupied at this time. And so the minister will be providing an update on that for us. And in just a moment, we'll be asking you to call in to us and let us know what is happening in your community. We know that there have been fallen trees in some areas, and just let us know what is happening to help us paint a better picture on the ground. And you can call us at 713-8880. That's 713-8880. We are still trying to make connection with the minister, but earlier on he did indicate that there will be no examinations today as far as the Cape is concerned. And so Cape students, please take note that the exam has been suspended for today. Let me tell you. Morning again, and you are viewing Stormwatch here from the NEMO headquarters in BZ. We want to take you straight to the Minister for Education, who will be telling us a bit about the status of schools and also what's happening in Dennery North. Good morning, Minister. Welcome again.
Good morning. Good morning. It is still a bit of a challenge hearing you clearly. But I will just repeat what I would have said previously as it relates to Cape exams. We have decided at the level of the Ministry of Education to call off Cape exams scheduled for because the Met Office and NEMO have not given the all clear, and so we do not want our students to be venturing out to any examination center today. So the most we can say at this particular juncture is that Cape exams have been suspended, and later today into the weekend, the ministry will put out a more definitive statement on the way forward. I can say that in the Dennery Basin, we have been spared to an extent. Damage is not very extensive, save for some roofs that have been damaged. The banana crop has taken a hit once again. There are a few utility lines detached from buildings. And on our side of the Badlil, as you know, the Badlil is a ridge. There's the Wavin Poisson side and there's the Tamazo side. On the Tamazo side, we have a few fallen trees, a few broken branches that would reduce the road to single lane in some areas. But as you get closer to the top of the ridge itself, it will call for some cutlassing for vehicles to be able to traverse. I'm sure the Ministry of Infrastructure, if they have not done so, will be out in quick time to make their assessment. I'm sure the various constituency councils will also be out in quick time to make their assessment and to try and restore to normal, I guess, once NEMO has given the all clear for people to venture out. So I can only speak in terms of what obtains in the Dennery Basin, more specifically Dennery North, my constituency. But pronouncements that would have implications for the nation, I would reserve those for NEMO, the Met Office, and the Prime Minister himself. I should also say that my colleague parliamentarian, the Honorable Alfred Prosper, who is Member of Parliament for Dennery South, is currently off island on official business. And from yesterday afternoon, I've tried to maintain a presence in Dennery South as well as Dennery North, just to ensure that I provide cover for my colleague. So by and large, as I said, a few roofs were damaged. Farmers would have taken a hit. We have had no reported cases of any serious flooding apart from the storm surge we saw in Dennery Village. The rainfall has been minimal, and let us keep our fingers crossed that we would have received the worst of the system at this particular point in time. From a safety standpoint, I want to profit the opportunity to say to my constituents and everybody listening to your broadcast that we have to continue to pay attention to the bulletins that come out of the GIS, NEMO, the Met Office, and the Office of the Prime Minister. We have not been given the all clear. From what we've been told by the Met Office yesterday and the day before, is that there is a large band of clouds associated with that system, and the potential for heavy rainfall is extremely high. The ground is already saturated, so if we get any decent amount of rainfall, we should expect some flooding, and with flooding and can come a lot of risk associated with property loss and even injury to people. We do not want anybody to lose their life in this particular scenario. So the best thing to do is to heed the official warning from the agencies that are responsible for disaster management and disaster coordination. And I think if everybody does that, in the aftermath, we'll just pick up the pieces best we can and return our country to a state of normalcy. As it relates to schools, obviously, because we've not been given the all clear, students and teachers will stay home today. I know we won't be in school as often as we can. We are still reeling from the COVID pandemic in terms of instruction time that would have been lost. But in the circumstances, the safety of our students, our teachers, our principals, and ancillary staff is paramount. And so today we are asking, as we did yesterday, for all students, teachers, principals, and ancillary staff to stay home. Our schools, most of them are being used as hurricane shelters or as disaster shelters. Principals have received training in the past to serve as shelter managers. And so far, I believe they've done an excellent job in the areas where they've been called upon to activate their school plans as shelters. So that is it from my vantage point. There appears to be a break in the clouds, at least in the Dennery North area, from what I can see from my vantage point. Let us keep our fingers crossed that the worst of the system has traversed the island chain, and that moving forward we will be blessed with much better weather than what we experienced last night. I mean, there were times last night when I was extremely petrified at the strength of the wind and to further compound my fears is the fact that there was an interruption in the electricity supply from around 10 o'clock, and the darkness which accompanied the strength of the wind was a bit disconcerting, not just for me, but for a lot of the constituents with whom I've spoken. This morning, we're waking up to relatively good weather in the sense that there's no strong breeze. It's not raining at the moment, but pretty overcast. And as I said, I'm hoping that this would signal the commencement of a much better weather pattern today into tomorrow and later on. But this is what we see with the naked eye at the moment, but we must always rely on the technical people at the Met Office to tell us what is in store, and we must always respect what they put out there, notwithstanding whatever misgivings we may have when we make a comparison between the official word and what we observe from the comfort of our homes and our communities.
Thank you so much, Minister, for wearing both hats as Education Minister and also MP for Dennery North. Thank you. And we encourage you to call viewers 713-8880. Let us know what is happening as far as the storm is concerned. The tropical storm Bret advisory number 20, tropical storm warning is still in effect for St. Lucia. And you would have heard the minister, so please heed the sound advice and continue to stay indoors. The all clear has not been given, and so we want you to be safe. We'll now wait on you as you call in, again, 713-8880, and let us know what's happening. The minister did speak of some of the things happening in his constituency, like the fallen trees and what have you, and we want you to just call in and help us, paint the picture of some of the effects on the ground. Okay, we have at this point the Director of Met Services, Mr. Andre Joye. Good morning, Mr. Joye. Good morning, Mr. Joye. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Could you just tell us exactly what is going on as far as the weather is concerned?
Okay. So this morning at 6 a.m., tropical storm Bret was located at 13.4 degrees north, 62.9 degrees west. This is 139 miles or 223 kilometers west-southwest of St. Lucia. So that means tropical storm Bret is right now in the Caribbean Sea. It's moving westward at 18 miles per hour, and this motion is expected to continue over the next few days. So what that translates to is that we are away from the tropical storm wind, and the feeder band at the back of Bret is the concern for us now. So we have winds of 30 knots, which is about 34 miles per hour, and it's expected to continue for this morning. We also have tropical, sorry, not tropical, we have thunderstorms at the back of this system, which we could get on and off. So most likely scattered showers with a chance of isolated thunderstorms for the rest of this morning. We will update our weather forecast later on. Right now, the Met Services is without power and we cannot function properly. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry to hear that. So in terms of the all clear, any time estimates, any time frame as to when you think that will be given?
Okay. We have had some problems in the past about the all clear. So I am in contact with the director of NEMO, and we will pass on that information to her so the first responders can go out, and she will pass on that information to the Prime Minister, who will give the all clear.
Okay,
so
sure. So it means that at this point, persons are still being asked to stay indoors, and perhaps you want to reiterate that very important instruction for people to remain indoors until the all clear is given.
Correct. So like we said, we still have gusty winds and scattered showers at the back of the system, and persons should continue listening to the weather report and also any news from NEMO in terms of the all clear.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Schreier?
I have not gotten a chance to get out to see what is happening around, but I'm hoping that St. Lucians are safe, that we weathered this storm, and that we can get back to the business at hand later today.
Okay, thank you. And of course, we'll be touching base sometime later in the morning. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Have a great day.
All right, so you've heard it, St. Lucia. We are still asked to remain indoors and to take precaution, even though the brunt of the storm is away from us and we have been spared the worst. We still have to be very careful and await word from the officials as to where to proceed. At this time, we want to call on Mr. Lake. He's right here with me at the command center, and he will just give us an update. And he's from the chairperson, the director of the NEOC. So we will hear from him in just a few seconds while you get your thoughts together, because I know you will be calling 713-8880 and let us know what is happening in your neck of the woods. Welcome back to Stormwatch. With me is Lieutenant Colonel Lucia Lake, and he's the Director of the National Emergency Operations Center, the NEOC. Good morning, Mr. Lake.
Good morning to you, madam, and good morning to all listeners.
How was your evening?
Tiring.
I could well imagine. So tell us what has been happening.
We have been monitoring the telephones and the radios as a result of the passage of Tropical Storm Bret. There may have been some issues with communication because what we expected persons to be reporting in didn't come in as much. So the night was more or less waiting to get reports and see how best we could mitigate or render assistance to persons, and that did not happen to any large degree. There were reports of fluctuation in electricity in various areas, but that was about it. I must applaud the St. Lucian public for heeding to what was said, and they stayed home. Or we didn't get too many reports of persons traversing the roads at various times, which made it easier for movement of emergency or any other persons who would need to be on the road at that time. So that worked very well. Compliments to the St. Lucian public for listening. It made our work much easier, that of the fire and the police in that regard. But in going forward, we're hoping to get some information. Well, Met just gave their forecast on what's going to happen. We're not fully in the clearance yet. We're waiting for that little hour where we can send the teams out, because we still have not gotten in contact with certain areas. So we want the assessment teams to go out as quickly as possible so they can report back into the NEOC, where we could lift and persons can be given the opportunity to move around, visit friends and family, become disaster tourists. But we want that all clear, or that period where the assessors will not be fighting with persons to get an assessment of what's on ground before proceeding to have any form of intervention to clear roads and give an assessment.
And I'm happy you mentioned that there weren't too many call-outs, and of course we know that our essential services are stretched. Okay, so I want to join you in commending St. Lucian citizens for, as you said, heeding the sound instructions to remain at home and not to put themselves in harm's way. And we heard Mr. Joye earlier, and given this preliminary report, and we are so thankful that we are away from the brunt of the storm. But how do you foresee your role over the next few hours?
Well, thanking the commissioner was actually in, and the fire chief with a few officers who were on. The transition would still be, whereas the operations center maybe stood down, we will still have a presence here to receive calls and log it in, and still direct persons. That's what has to be done until maybe the end of the day, where we actually shut down operation in going forward. But we are hoping that we don't get too many more reports, or persons who need to get that information across would find some way or some other person who could report on their behalf, so we know exactly where we stand and what has to be done. But we know, whereas we're going to scale down or turn off the operations of the operation center, we will still have a presence of persons there manning the phones and documenting what it is, but it will be almost life back as normal.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lake, and I'm sure throughout the course of the day you will keep us updated on what's happening.
Yes.
Sure. So there you have it, and of course we want to encourage you to call in and let us know what is happening. As far as activities scheduled for today are concerned, of course, you would imagine that all of those activities have been cancelled. Public Service Day celebration would have been today. And of course, that fair, which was scheduled for the Derrick Walcott Square, of course, has been cancelled for today. There was also, I think, it was business incubator for persons especially with disabilities, or differently able persons, I should say, and that too has been cancelled. And of course, you would appreciate that we can't be having activities like those in such inclement weather. So for persons who were preparing or still wondering whether those were taking place, those activities, all activities rather, have been cancelled as a result of the storm. Welcome back to Stormwatch. With me is the Acting Police Commissioner, Ms. Ronald Phillip, and he's here to give us an update on their end. Good morning, Mr. Phillip.
Hi, good morning, St. Lucia. Good morning to the police officers across the island. I want to thank you for weathering the storm and ensuring that we keep St. Lucia safe. So far, as has been reported in the northern sector, that is from Grizzly to Richford, we have had no serious reports of any damage or loss of life or injuries associated with the storm. On the western coast, it has been flooded in Soufrière. We have some fallen trees. Access to Fort Saint-Jacques is limited because we have fallen trees on the Touray and on the Myers Bridge. We have already contacted infrastructure and NIMO to try to clear as soon as possible. In the Labrie village, it was reported that there are some blown off roofs or galvanized in the village, and the Library Village Council is already on it. Before team to our preliminary assessment, we have some partial damage to the roofs of the post-sec and the preschool next to the special ed school. On the Masha station reported a few fallen trees in the Tirushi area. Yes. On the west coast, nothing serious has been reported, but we have the officers out in the Lakwa area with chainsaws doing some clearing of the streets. We have already asked for infrastructure to go out and start clearing of the roads to make access as easy as possible for commuters so that emergency services can try to restore a state of normalcy as soon as possible.
Okay, in terms of security, were there any concerns, any hurdles, any breaches, what have you?
In terms of, it was reported that there was one burglary in the city last night. I don't have the fine details, I don't have the intimate details of that burglary as yet, but it's not something that you should panic about. These things are normal as in any other day, but I'll tell you, we had officers in full force on the ground last night, and our officers are already on the ground assisting with trying to restore state of normalcy.
Okay, so throughout the day we should be seeing a strong presence of the police.
Well, the officers are already on the officers are already on the streets. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Philip.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, and I wish you and your staff the best. We know that it's not easy going through a situation like that. You want to safeguard your family at the same time. You have a duty to perform to protect the nation.
Yes, and for persons we're asking persons to remain indoors. The all clear is not given. The more persons you have out during this time, it makes the work of the essential services a little more difficult. We know that some persons sometimes are willing to help, but we are asking as much as possible to try to minimize coming out on the road, because we still have issues with electrical wires and what have you, and we don't want anybody to put themselves in any sort of unnecessary risk or danger.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So that was the Acting Police Commissioner, Mr. Ronald Phillip, and in just a little while we'll be having Mr. Ditney Downs from the St. Lucia Fire Service, who will also be giving us some information on the end of the St. Lucia Fire Service. So we encourage you to continue to listen to So Much, and of course, very importantly, to ensure that the information you get is from the official sources, NEMO, the Met Services, and nowhere else. Hello, joining us this time is the parliamentary representative for Grosley, Honorable Kenson Kazimi. Good morning, Minister.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm having a little bit of a background noise, but I take it that you can hear me clearly.
Okay, I imagine you got little or no sleep, taking care of your constituents?
Yes, I have been in contact with point persons throughout the community who have given me some reliable information. I think our waterways are cleared. I think that is very, very important. That would have been a major concern. The Corinth area, from all indications, they've weathered the initial phase of the storm very well. I want to encourage persons to continue to be vigilant. We are not in the all clear as yet. We still have remnants of the storm, and we expecting today to be a rainy day. We're still expecting thunderstorms, and so we are definitely not in the all clear. I think we are still always very concerned about what happened at Flamboyant Drive, what happened on Rhode Island Gas Road and Asso Canal and Remington and some of the other communities. But from all indications, the rivers, the flow was very good at the rivers. Also, my point person in the Bonte community also indicated that the river flowed very well. We undertook a number of certain works over the last week. As a matter of fact, we started in terms of our drains a couple of weeks ago, and we moved into high gear over the last 3 days in terms of our waterways, and I think that worked very well.
Okay, Miss, I'm really happy that there were no major damages and most importantly, no loss of life in the Grocery area.
Absolutely. So far, preliminarily, I would say no major incidents. We've had some information of trees in the basically road and Norbert Road as well, galvanized near the basically pond, and some indication of money as well with some trees in the road, but nothing that we are very concerned with right now. As you know, November 6th still looms in most constituents' mind. Last night was a very difficult night in terms of sleep, but for anybody who cares about the constituents. But I'm still waiting for any report from Groseley Town. We have an area commonly known as Cocoa Pear behind the Catholic Church that has been a flood-prone area for us. Still trying to get a contact person in there to make any report. But from all indications, Groseley has fared very well.
Okay, you're also the Minister for Youth and Sports, and know there's a sports academy in Groseley, specifically in the Beausejour area. Any effects on the ground? Has the ground been affected at all?
No, Beausejour area is another flood-prone area for sure, in terms of the area near the indoor facility. But again, from all indications, the Kaimaji area weathered the storm fairly well. We're still waiting for all information. We are not going to be too anxious with any of our reporting. I think we're still in for some heavy rain today. And as we saw with November 6th, 1 hour of rain and heavy rain could make a huge difference in a community. And so we are going to continue to be vigilant. I'm going to continue to encourage people to stay indoors. We have a very curious community, a very, very curious community. They would want to go outside and venture and see what they could report. But I want to discourage people from doing that, dissuade people from doing that. We'll let the officials from the Ministry of Infrastructure, who's been working very hard over the last week, to continue to do their job. Let us do all the evaluations until we have the all clear.
Okay, Minister, anything else you would like to add?
I just want to thank the people in Groseley who understood that the government includes them. I really have to say that, because a lot of the times people say government should do, but we forget that at the end of the day, we are the government. And I mean, there were many, many requests for me to send somebody to clean in front of person's houses, clear drains in certain areas that, from all indication, we should take a responsibility and just keep clear. And I think I want to thank those who reached out and did it themselves, who did not call to ask for somebody to come in, but rather called to see if any arrangement could be made for garbage or for silt to be picked up and thrown away somewhere. I want to really thank those people who are really still community-oriented and understand that it's just not one person that is required to keep a community running. I want to also shout out our disaster preparedness committee, who had their virtual meetings, who ensured that the shelters were identified and the information placed out there for consumption of all constituents. I want to thank them as well. I want to thank the mayor's office and everybody who's very concerned, the people who've called, asking and indicating where the major distilting and government should, in terms of the department should come in to provide that assistance. I want to thank those who constantly assist. And so we do have good citizens in our constituency. We do have those who just depend solely on an agency, and we want to speak against that. We want everybody to come together and be each other's keepers to ensure that our community is clean.
Thank you so much, Minister. Take care,
Have a
keep
nice day.
safe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Lucia, you are watching Storm Watch from the headquarters of NEMO at Bize. And joining me now is the Acting Chief Fire Officer, Mr. Ditney Downs. Mr. Downs, just want to give us a summary of perhaps the nature of the reports that came in to the headquarters?
Good morning. I just want to, before I start, I want to take the opportunity to thank the fire officers who worked the night shift, those who they leave work cancel and they had to stay in and work an extra tour of duty. I want to thank them. It's not always easy to leave your family behind and be on duty. That's not where you want to spend that time. But like I said in my last broadcast, these fire officers are committed, and I really appreciate their commitment and dedication in the whole quest to preserve life and property. Last night, well, during the period, the officers at Fire Service Headquarters had to respond to 2 ambulance calls during the storm. Normally we would not make responses during the storm period, but these ambulance requests were very serious. They were medical in nature, and the officers had no choice than to respond to the calls. We also, I just want to highlight, in terms of our own damage, internal damage, we suffer some roof damage to our garage in Vieux-Fort, our mechanical, the engineering garage in Vieux-Fort.
Sorry to hear.
So that will be taken care of as early as possible. And I just want to inform the public that the phone lines at our airport fire station in Vieux-Fort is non-functional, but all other stations are functional, so they could call, and responses will begin, normal responses will begin at 8 o'clock this morning. So if there is any emergency, any medical emergency, emergencies, they could call the department and we'll make a response.
With any efforts or any attempt to have at least an alternative number, so in the event persons want to call Vieux-Fort, or you're saying that the number, they could call the other stations and that information will be transferred to Vieux-Fort.
But like I said, it's the airport fire station. It is not a normal response station. We only use it, since the airport is closed, we use it as a backup station. Okay, so for example, if Vieux-Fort fire station is out, we get another call, we would pass that call to them. So they could still call Vieux-Fort fire station, which is the main station, and they would transfer the call to the airport fire station. So it's not a problem, but I just want to inform them, so if they're trying to call the number direct, they might not be able to get through.
But I'm really happy that all in all, despite the 2 ambulance calls that you got, that it was not a very eventful night for your men and women who already stretched beyond limit.
Yeah, I'm very happy. And just generally for St. Lucians too, it appears that we were able to have a safe night, and we were able to go through that storm. Like I said, we're still doing some damage assessment as a country, so the full extent of what transpired throughout the night is not known, but based on the reports to fire and police, it appears that we were able to have a very safe night.
Okay, so
in terms of life.
Sure. Yeah. So as we go throughout the day, what does it look like for you?
Well, we will, like I said, normal responses will resume when the all clear is given, and we'll take it from there.
By the way, your headquarters is located on Bridge Street.
Yes.
Any reports of, did you suffer any damage, any water?
Well, whether it's under storm watch or a normal rain, we are always at risk because of the location. My officers, have been subjected to that flooding so frequently that they know when to evacuate. They know what level they should evacuate.
So they become experts in that field
exactly.
too. Oh
so
my! Sorry
I
to
could
hear
imagine Friday night they were monitoring the river level, and but we had some serious water leaks because the building is an old building, and I don't think much can be done to solve that problem. So we had some serious water leaks and the normal issues with the building. So we were able to take some precautionary measures prior to the rain. So we were able to survive. Hopefully we'll get a new headquarters. The Prime Minister made an allocation in this financial year to start the process of getting a new headquarters for the Central Fire Service. So hopefully we will see that in the near future.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Downs, and of course I can only wish you and your officers the very best, and of course to stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we are still here, and we have to keep you updated. We will be doing that throughout the day as far as the tropical storm Bret is concerned. And of course, St. Lucia, the all clear has not been given, and let us take heed and remain indoors to protect ourselves and also property, our properties. Life and property is at the heart of this, and we really want to underscore, and you've heard it. You heard it last night, and you've been hearing that this morning. Also, the need for us to stay indoors. Thank you, Mr. Downs. And of course, we'll be touching base later on today.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Hurricanes can be very destructive. Although we can't stop them, we can lessen the effects of hurricanes on our lives and property by preparing. Start by having a family disaster management plan in place long before the hurricane season starts. Discuss your plan with your family and ensure that everyone knows their role.
Okay everyone, let's go over our family disaster plan from last year.
You should also have an emergency supplies kit with items that do not need refrigeration and will last for some time. Include canned foods, water, clothing, first aid supplies, flashlights, battery-powered radios, batteries, sanitation and hygiene supplies, medication, special need items for infants, the elderly and persons with disabilities, Remember to regularly replace items like water, food, medication, and batteries. Ensure that your home and vehicle insurance coverage are appropriate and up to date, and secure important documents in a watertight container. Ensure that your house and property is in good condition and can weather the storm. Trim branches away from your house and prune all dead or weak trees on your property. The Atlantic hurricane season is from June to November, but preparedness is year-round. Always be prepared. This message brought to you by the Beaufort South District Disaster Preparedness Committee and NEMO, and funded by the USAID Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance.
Is your hurricane emergency kit ready? If you need to evacuate quickly, you will need originals or certified copies of your NIS insurance card, health passport, national ID card, prescriptions, and other important health documents kept safe in waterproof Ziploc bags. Toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, sanitary, and other basic hygiene items. First aid kit, your prescription medications and supplies for chronic conditions. This is especially important for individuals living with chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and cancer. Be ready. Stay ready.
This message brought to you courtesy the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome again to Stormwatch. Joining me is the Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Glensford Joseph. Good morning, Dr. Joseph.
Good morning,
At the DMAC meeting, you did present the preparatory plans as far as the Ministry of Health is concerned of the various the wellness centers and the facilities under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Health. Perhaps you could tell us what's been happening as far as waters are concerned, in terms of the facilities. What do you have to say to us this morning?
Okay, great. First of all, I must take this opportunity to really thank the team that continue working through the night to ensure that the Ministry of Health delivers the essential services to the population, more so to the team at the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, the Millennium Heights Medical Complex Secondary Care Wing at our newly repurposed respiratory hospital, the St. Jude Hospital, and also when we think of the primary care setting, those at the Soufriere Hospital, Denry Hospital, and the Grosley Polyclinic. And I must say again, thanks to both the clinical and non-clinical staff, because we recognize that each and every individual in these organizations, they do have a part to play in the delivery of health care. Coming to your question, the ministry would have had preparatory meetings ahead of the storm to ensure that all mechanisms are in place. We did put contingency plans in place, and you would have known with the rest of the business sector and the rest of the public sector. Our primary care facilities, the smaller facilities, were closed at 1 o'clock yesterday to facilitate persons, one, getting home. We do know that persons would not be or expected to be on the street at that time, but we strategically ensure that the Grosley Polyclinic and the Denry Hospital, which usually operates 8 in the morning to midnight, that these facilities, as of yesterday, have been providing 24-hour services to the public in conjunction with the Soufriere Hospital that has been providing 24 hours. So persons who would like to access care and who needed care last night had the opportunity to visit Dennery Hospital, the Grosley Polyclinic, and Soufriere Hospital within primary care, and of course the public hospital remains open to emergency cases.
Okay, now we know that the all clear has not been given, and so individuals are not allowed to go out. In the event where, and yesterday, in your statement, you did indicate that persons who need medication should get at least a month's supply. And perhaps there were persons who did not get that chance to do that. And we know that the all clear has not been given. It means that persons can't venture out. In a situation like that, what do you advise?
Okay, I must indicate that based on information coming out of the pharmacy department, is that many persons did reach out to the various pharmacies to ensure they have stock of pharmaceuticals or medical supplies to take them through the storm. We do recognize and we do advise persons to have at least 1 month supply. For those who would not have been able to visit the pharmacy to get such medication, at this point where the all clear has not been given, we do advise persons not to get out into the open environment because of the risk associated with the heavy wind, the flooding. We do note that there may be down trees, and as such, it will be very risky for persons to get out there. Let us just wait on the all clear before we can venture out. If there is need for an emergency for you to be taken to the hospital, of course, we do have the ambulance services through the St. Lucia Fire Service that you can call upon to take you to the health facility so that you can access care. But safety is paramount at this time.
And also the need for, let's talk about the storage of medication.
We do note that persons need to really store their medications, their prescriptions, and all medical supplies in a safe manner. And with this storm, we do know that there is the risk of flooding. And, you know, we advise persons to really store their medications in a sealed or a waterproof container so that they cannot be damaged. And also you put it at a high level so that if there is a flood, they cannot be compromised. Because we do note that for persons who have certain chronic non-communicable diseases, for instance, persons who are diabetic, hypertensive, and other illnesses, that needs the long-term treatment. If they do not store their medication appropriately, it can be compromised. And without the medication, your health condition can worsen. And that is one of the last things we would like to be added to the stress of the storm that we are experiencing. So we really encourage persons to store those medications, your prescription also, because if you lose your prescription, it may be challenging to access one very readily. And as such, you know, this too should be taken care of.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Joseph. Thanks for joining us. And of course, I encourage you to continue to do the good work. And of course, wish that you and your family remain safe.
Yeah, thank you, Julieta, for having me and giving me this opportunity to really share with the public some of what we have been doing. And of course, I must say that through the night, our team responded and they have provided some favorable reports in terms of no major damage. Of course, you know, some of the facilities would have been impacted with a power outage, and our generators kicked in to ensure that we continue delivery of care. And of course, with the wind, a few of the facilities may have had minor damages, if you want to call it, with the lifting of a few roofs galvanized, a little seepage of water through windows, but nothing to really disrupt the operations of the facilities. And we continue to deliver quality care despite of the challenges with the storm.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. Of course, this is a positive note to end on as we bring this segment of the broadcast to an end. We want to encourage you to remain indoors. NEMO will be doing the assessment on the ground at some point, and after that, of course, with consultation with the Prime Minister, then the official word will be given. But as it stands now, we are still we are still asked to remain indoors until that all clear is given. And as information comes to hand, we will be informing you perhaps through this broadcast. So stay tuned and stay informed. Bye-bye.
It's hurricane season. Know the BBCs of water safety. Boil or bleach and clean. Boil. Bring water to a rolling boil for at least 5 minutes. Cool and then use immediately or store in a clean container and seal until needed for use. Bleach. If you cannot boil water, use 8 drops of unscented bleach for each gallon of water. Stir and let stand for 30 minutes. Use immediately or store in a clean container and seal until needed for use. Clean. Always clean all containers with bleach and wash out thoroughly before storing water in them.
This message brought to you courtesy the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Hurricanes can be very destructive. Although we can't stop them, we can lessen the effects of hurricanes on our lives and property by preparing. Start by having a family disaster management plan in place long before the hurricane season starts. Discuss your plan with your family and ensure that everyone knows their role.
Okay, everyone, let's go over our family disaster plan from last year.
You should also have an emergency supplies kit with items that do not need refrigeration and will last for some time. Include canned foods, water, clothing, first aid supplies, flashlights, battery-powered radios, batteries, sanitation and hygiene supplies, medication, special need items for infants, the elderly and persons with disabilities. Remember to regularly replace items like water, food, medication and batteries. Ensure that your home and vehicle insurance coverage are appropriate and up-to-date, and secure important documents in a watertight container. Ensure that your house and property is in good condition and can weather the storm. Trim branches away from your house and prune all dead or weak trees on your property. The Atlantic hurricane season is from June to November, but preparedness is year-round. Always be prepared. This message brought to you by the Beaufort South District Disaster Preparedness Committee and NEMO, and funded by the USAID Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance.